Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering 4 reasons to avoid low-cost ghostwriters. If you're thinking about hiring someone from Upwork or Fiverr, you really should check out this video first. By the end of this video, you will learn the importance of experience and trust when working with a ghostwriter. And stay tuned until the end of the video for a free resource I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. You probably heard the saying before, if something's too good to be true, it often is. That's the case with ghostwriting as well. There's so many people online promoting low-cost services, especially with ghostwriting. But ghostwriting is a skill. It's an art. It's a craft. It really requires a huge mastery of the language, in this case, the English language, but it really requires somebody to be very adept at writing, because it's not just about writing well for themselves, it's writing well for you. This is putting words into your voice, making sure that they sound like you. And it requires a lot of skills. You know, when I jumped into ghostwriting about 5 years ago, I had spent, up until that point, more than a decade in journalism, most of the time in New York City, and a lot of that was spent editing other people's words, rewriting things in their voice. So even if I wasn't ghostwriting, I was learning the skills necessary. This is not an easy thing to jump into. This is something that requires a lot of skill. And if you're finding somebody who is inexpensive, it typically means that they're less experienced at ghostwriting. And that goes into my next focus, which is experience. I remember when I first started with ghostwriting, I understood what it meant to ghostwrite, and I was really proud of the ghostwriting I was doing. But it took me a long time in book ghostwriting to really understand the elements of book writing, how to make the message as strong as possible, and how to convey that and carry that forward, and how to connect that and align that with an author client's goals and expectations and purpose. There's all these elements in play that took a long time for me to learn, and even my journalism experience didn't prepare me for that. It wasn't just to be a good writer, it was being able to take the next step as a ghostwriter. And it took a long time to gain that experience, a lot of trial and error, working with a lot of different clients and a lot of different voices. And I finally am at the point where I feel confident in that, but it took a long time. So the idea that somebody could just jump in and be a great ghostwriter without a lot of experience doing it, it's not very likely. The next element is trust. How much do you trust somebody who doesn't have the experience, who hasn't done this for a while, who doesn't have the track record? You really need to find somebody you trust. Working with a ghostwriter is one of the most trusting relationships you can have with a business partner, associate, or anything else, because this is somebody who's acting on behalf of you, who's writing on behalf of you, who's coming up with your words for you. You need to be able to trust them, because otherwise they can get you in lots of trouble. Think if your ghostwriter decides to plagiarize and you don't catch it. We've all seen those stories pop up of an author who didn't keep an eye on their ghostwriter well enough and didn't find the right ghostwriter, found somebody who cut corners, and ended up having plagiarism in their book. This can be career ruining to end up working with the wrong ghostwriter. You want to build a level of trust, but at the same time, you don't want to micromanage. I've worked with clients who've micromanaged me. It's not a lot of fun. But at the same time, you want to find a ghostwriter you can trust, because one of the main elements, one of the main reasons why people end up working with a ghostwriter is because they don't have the time to do the writing themselves. This isn't always the fact that they can't do the writing, it's that they're too busy. So when I work with CEOs, it's often that they're so busy running their company that they don't have the time to devote to writing the book. So I work with them. So you really need to have that trust to be able to give the ghostwriter the freedom to create, and that knowing that they're going to do the best for you and write in your voice and sound like you, and follow the right skills and follow the right tactics. Avoid using AI or plagiarizing to be able to put together stories and copy for you. This is really about having the peace of mind to work with somebody in confidence. Ultimately, there's a big difference between affordable and cheap. I look at cheap as the lowest cost. If you're trying to find the lowest cost for something, for pens, great. You know, for groceries, so be it. You know, but you're looking at something and trying to save money. With a ghostwriter, you're not trying to do that. You're trying to find the best value for the money that you have. And there could be other elements at play that could help you find an affordable ghostwriter who you can trust. Maybe this is somebody who's still establishing themselves, maybe somebody who has the right skill set but is still, finding their way. You want to make sure that they have the right mentality and approach to be able to do great work for you, even at a lower price point. And maybe it's an element of you doing some of the work yourself. So it's not all the ghostwriter doing the writing. Maybe it's a blend of the two. Maybe it's a coaching relationship where you do some writing, the ghostwriter does some writing. There's other elements at play, but you want to make sure that you're focusing on affordable and not cheap. When I look at a full ghostwriting project for a book, the price point typically starts at $25,000. And that's broken up into milestones or monthly payments. So it's not like it's all due at once. But you think about that kind of price, if you're finding a ghostwriter who's charging you $20,000, they probably are dependable. But the lower you go, the more likely it is that they are not qualified. So you want to make sure to do your homework, do your due diligence to find a ghostwriter that you can trust, even if they are on the more affordable side. You just want to make sure that they have some experience and some background necessary to be able to do great work for you. If you're planning to work with a ghostwriter, I definitely recommend that you watch the next video. It's called How to Hire the Perfect Ghostwriter for Your Book. In that video, I cover where to look for ghostwriters, interviewing them, and making sure that the contract is fair for all parties. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.